Jeff Jarrett holds up Vince McMahon with the Intercontinental title in hand. Or did he? Did he really, though? Check out this clip.
This went back and forth with me and Jim a couple of times. And I said, can I get my money today? Jeff, it ain't up to me. It's up to the old man. Okay, find out. I've just got time today, Jim. He got up, went back, did it, and I don't know exactly, but I know that I made them go first. What is the number?
You always make them go first. That's the best way to do it.
But Jim came back and said, yeah. And I said, well, what's the number? Jim comes to me and they said, we've sort of done pen to paper and we're thinking 150 will get it all cleaned up. And I said, Jim, remember how you changed the deal on me a year in? And he's like, well, yeah. I said, no, I said, I understand all the reasons you did. And I respect the hell out of it. But I don't really agree with that right now. And I've had time to reflect on my last 2 years. So if we're going to get a deal done, this place, Gund Arena, is sold out for sure. And they've got a lot of WWE's money in their box office. So let's double that and get me to 300. And those are my payoffs because I get a healthy payoff out of tonight because, quote unquote, I'm doing the honors. And give me the money out of Gund Arena's bank, not WWE's bank, and let's go to work.
I'm going to say he did hold Vince up. That's holding Vince up. I mean, he kind of laughs it off. He's like, why did I walk in there with a gun? Jeff Jarrett kind of mocks it and jokes about it. Ha ha, I didn't stick up Vince McMahon. I didn't have a gun or nothing. Bro, you walked in without the belt, without your gear. So you're walking in saying, I'm here, but I don't have to be here. I might not be here. Let's talk. Sits down with Jim Ross and tells him, I need to get paid. I need to get paid for shit that I'm owed. And then maybe I'll go out there and wrestle and put over China. That's sticking him up. What the fuck else do you call that? Do you have to have a gun in your hand to call it a stick up? Is that how we're defining shit now? The way that Jeff tells the story is very interesting because I see his side of it. I'm not even knocking him. I can't say that I wouldn't have felt or done the same thing. We're not in those situations as fans. We don't know what it was like to be there behind the scenes. The way he tells the story, he knew his career was going down the toilet in WWE. He knew it was only down from doing the job to China. They didn't have any excitement to re-sign him. They barely cared to try. They didn't offer him any kind of jump in pay. They cut his pay from his previous contract. They never liked Jeff Jarrett to begin with. Jeff was very stiff on Jim Ross. He damn near buried Jim Ross, as a matter of fact, talking about how Jim never really made any kind of effort to sign him at all. No interest. He never felt any bit of interest, any bit of care, any bit of, thanks for your services here. None of that shit. He didn't care. Nobody cared. So he knew unless he wanted to just slide down to fucking opening match and job spot, he needed to go over to WCW. He didn't want to, but he needed to. And he was right to do that because had he slid down the card and not been a main eventer, not gone up the card, not even stayed where he was, then that would have killed Jeff Jarrett as a name in the business. He would have just been a meh, But him going to WCW, as hot as he was in WWE, he was still in a prominent position at that time. He was hot. He was still valuable. And he had now a writer that had his back. And what did that lead to? That led to Jeff Jarrett as a world heavyweight champion. In that era, you could put his name right up there with a Vince Russo, David Arquette, right? WCW champions of the early aughts. Aughts? Whatever the fuck you call it. That's a bit stiff on Jeff. Jeff's a talented guy. I don't see why he couldn't have been a main eventer. He played the part well. I don't think he never seemed out of place. He seemed forced in TNA because he was forcing himself to the top of the card, But in WCW, to me, as lame as that era of WCW was, he seemed to fit in. Like he wasn't not believable as a world champion or in a world championship contention at the very least. Did I like him? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he was a good champion. None of that. I'm saying I believed him. He was believable in that spot as a contender at the very least, if not champ. But to sit with a straight face and try to babyface yourself on a podcast, and Jeff's kind of the way he talks all woke and stuff and understanding and thoughtful, and he does that, but I'm starting to pick up because he's done like 101 interviews already, about this podcast and then the podcast itself. I'm starting to pick up on little tones of, I don't even know how to put it, like little ego flakes floating around in this wokeness. He's very self-aware. He's very thoughtful, considerate, polite. He's a gentleman. He's smart. He is humble at times, but there's still just these he'll throw little passive aggressive lines out there. He's like, well, you said this, but actually it was, I'm just joking with you. It's okay. Like, I don't know if that exact situation happened, but little things like that. And I don't know how else to describe him, but if you listen to all 85 of his interviews he did this week, you'll understand. But even with Conrad, things tended to get seemed like they got a little heated once or twice there. They got a little sideways, just a touch, because I think Jeff's a pinch confrontational, and it makes for good. I'm still not knocking it. I'm just observing. I'm a podcast journalist here. That's my job. That's what I do. I'm here to bring you guys the facts. Okay. And I'm telling you, listening to this podcast, you could hear just a pinch of a flare up here and there of something or other from Jeff Jarrett. It's just these tiny little things. And, at the end of the day, he's sitting here, he's trying to babyface himself and trying to joke it off and say it's way blown out of proportion and overblown. And to an extent it is, because by the sounds of it, a good chunk of the money that he got that day was money he already had coming to him. And he knew, and he said it here on the podcast, if he dropped that title to China and then he was gone, he had zero leverage at that point. He was not going to be in any position to ask for any goddamn thing at that point. He knew it. And he also knew with the company going public that he was going to get lost in the shuffle and all of that. So give me my goddamn money right now that I'm owed. And then, because he had such a hard time with JR during the contract courting period and before that, Jeff basically admits that he added a little bit of an asshole tax on top of that. Just a little bit of extra fuck you for being a dick money. A little bit of extra cheese on his Whopper, as they say. And I don't know that I blame him for doing that either. I think it's kind of funny and amusing, and I don't know that that's not something I would have done either. Had I known I was going, didn't care if I was going to be back. Give me my goddamn money. And you know what? Remember that one time where you're fucking me around a little bit? I think we could probably add a little bit more onto that just for funsies. So I don't blame him, but he sure as fuck stuck up Vince. That's sticking up Vince. I'm not going to come out here and wrestle. I'm not going to give you back the belt until you pay me my money. That's sticking him up. How else do you want to put it? Jeff's trying to fucking turn it into guns and fucking bank robberies and shit. Get out of here with that shit. Go fuck off with your trying to babyface yourself. Be more humble. Be honest. Say yeah. I mean, he does. He admits everything. He just doesn't like the way that it's phrased. I'm sorry. It's a stick up. It's a stick up job. Don't even blame me for it, but it's a stick up job. Check out my world. It's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be every single Tuesday, kicking Arn out of his spot. Arn's moving to 6:05 on Saturday, and they're changing the format to some kind of biography style fucking thing. I liked the Ask Arn Anythings. I liked talking about the modern era. Arn, a lot of his podcasts were heavy on the 2010s and shit. Now he's just going to go talk about his old. This is the same reason I stopped listening to Tony's podcast, because they were having a fun show talking about shit, and then all of a sudden they want to go back and relive week by week of the Crockett era. Okay, I'm done. I'm washing my hands of it. So I probably won't listen to much more Arn. I'm sad that they took away Arn from me, but I'll be okay. We got Jeff Jarrett now on Tuesdays. Woohoo. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.